Hello, and welcome to Super Switch Headz, a special episode. My name is Jordan Willis.
My name is Summer Rain.
My name is David Howe, and we indeed have a very special episode for you today. It's another debate episode. Is that right, Jordan?
Yes, today we're going to be having a debate. I am your moderator for this episode. Summer and David will be duking it out with their words. The debate topic, King Rool versus King Dedede. Who is the reigning king? We will find out.
It's a clash of kings, so to speak.
Here's how it's going to work. We're going to have 5 questions. Each contestant, debater, master debater, will have a minute and a half to respond to the question, and then they will have 30 seconds for a rebuttal for each question. So, with that in mind, are y'all ready?
Yes.
Sure am. I would just like to say that I'm looking forward to today's debate. And David, I wish you luck.
Thank you, Summer. I would also like to extend the olive branch preemptively before we begin. I have nothing but respect for you as a person and you, Jordan, as a moderator. And I want to thank you, Jordan, and the entire Switch Headz community for giving us their time as we get to the bottom of this very serious discussion.
Thanks for being here. I want a nice, lively but civil debate. No ad hominem attacks. So we're going to kick it off. We'll start with David, who was our reigning debate master from the last episode where he defeated Matthew in the Gusty Gardens versus Steam Gardens debate.
Matthew's no longer here, so this could determine the future of the podcast.
Yeah, I'm sorry. First of all, we should say also at the end of this episode, there will be a chance for you the listener, to vote on which king you think is best between King Rool or King Dedede. But we hope that you would listen to our arguments first before you can make that decision.
Please do. All right. So let's go ahead and get it kicked off. So the first question, really simply, who's the better actual king? And to answer this question, we're going to have David first. Okay. You have a minute and a half.
Thank you, Jordan. And thank you very much again for having us. Look, King Rool is a leader. That is the one way that you can define him. He leads, some say through extreme measures, and they might be right. But what you cannot argue is that he gets results. Ruling through fear, known for being cruel, these are important things to have control over a well-led army, and King Rool is exemplary in all these ways. He leads a devoted army through strength and discipline. He has a homeland of Crocodile Island, which he has led for many years successfully. It was a paradise with many amenities, like warm homes for lizards in the lava, and amusement parks for leisure activities, until it was ravaged by the Kongs, causing Rool to retaliate justly. He's a veteran, you might not know this, of the Crimean War against the Bear Army, which is part of the lore that the bears tell you in Donkey Kong Country 3. So that's a thing. He's an able-bodied seaman, a captain, a pilot, puts in the work, doesn't rest on his laurels. He's there to get his hands dirty when the leading needs to be done. King Rool is an industrious leader with a penchant for building a better society through various systems of urbanization that leads to job growth and private sector work within the Kremling society. And
please start to wrap up your answer. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got one last point I want to make about what a great king Rool actually is. And people point to the fact that he cruelly stole the banana horde from Donkey Kong, the lazy, good-for-nothing Donkey Kong, who sleeps through the day with a belly full of bananas, hoarding them from everyone else. But you know what? The only reason, and this is literally theorized online, that King Rool stole those bananas is because of bananas' curative properties for scurvy. He runs an entire army full of lizards on a boat, and those lizards get sick, and there's properties in the potassium that can make scurvy a little better. So I think that shows how good of a leader he really is.
Okay, great. Summer?
Thank you. King Dedede is a great example of a comeback story and a redemption arc, not just for Nintendo, but in media. I will admit, because we love a comeback story, he did start out as a self-proclaimed king of a land that otherwise had no ruling structure. So he did see a land that had no ruling structure and decided that it was appropriate for him to step in for people. He took the initiative to become a leader and lead these people. At the time, the constituents didn't really particularly care. They didn't understand why they needed a king. That said, through time, effort, proper leadership, and coming to terms with his place in society, he understood what his role as a king would mean over time. Since Kirby Star Allies, King Dedede has been noted to go out of his way and into the world to save his people. His boss battle descriptions post that game provide disbelief that he would have ever done things like stealing all of the food of Dreamland. This indicates that it is now difficult to believe that he would have ever done those things, showing that there is a rehabilitation in his character. When he broke the Star Rod in Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland, that was ultimately to protect Dreamland's inhabitants from the nightmare and trap the nightmare in the Fountain of Dreams. King Dedede has protected others in titles like Kirby Superstar Ultra and Kirby and the Forgotten Land to protect his Waddle Dees and his constituents. So he is a ruler through understanding what is actually needed of his people.
Great. All right. So we're going to have our first rebuttal. David, your rebuttal, please.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Summer for keeping it nice and tight. And it seems you definitely rehearsed the length of these. Congratulations. I did not.
That's eating into your time. Please continue.
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay. So it sounds like you said that self-proclaimed King Dedede, sounds like your king is a king in name only. And also it sounds like King Dedede has swapped sides quite a bit, fought with the good guys. Sure, he's a king, but is he a boss? King K. Rool is not only the king of Crocodile Island and of the Donkey Kong Country franchise, he is a consistent boss, villain for the main character, protagonist of the game. Not only can he rule, not only is he fair and just, he also does what he is meant to do in a video game environment, be the big bad guy that you have to beat up at the end. And lastly, I'd like to ask, and real quick, I'll wrap up here. And lastly, I'd like to ask, where truly do King Dedede's allegiances lie? What do we know what we can get out of him? Is he a flip-flopper? Can I trust him? I think not. Stay with King K. Rool.
All right. David, I would like to ask if in the future you could stick to your time. Summer, can I have your rebuttal?
Yeah. I'll put up a stopwatch.
Thank you, Jordan. And David, I appreciate the rebuttal. You did mention that King K. Rool is a veteran. King Dedede also did his time in Subspace Emissary in the Smash franchise. And when he understood that things were headed in a particularly bad direction, he knew that it was time to step down. We love a whistleblower. We love someone who acknowledges that there is damage within, is able to step outside of that and do what is right. Yes, you may be arguing that King K. Rool is a big baddie. I would like to take the humanitarian approach. And we know that King Dedede has chosen his side post certain games in the franchise. That has been his track record. And we are willing to look at the facts, look at what his track record has been. King Dedede fights for the people, which is what a king should do.
Okay.
Unless he's a deserter.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
But he's not.
All right. We're gonna keep it civil, guys. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm
sorry. I got him back.
We're just that passionate.
I get it. I understand. But the cornerstone of our democracy of the Switch Headz Discord is non-personal attacks against our characters.
I'm committed to bipartisanship.
Great. I love it. All right, let's continue on. So thank you for your opening arguments, basically kind of setting the tone for what's going to continue on. But next question we have is, who is more successful against their enemies? Summer, you're going to start us off on this one.
Thank you, Jordan. In order for me to answer this question, though, we do have to establish how we are defining success. Again, I'd like to reiterate that I am taking a humanitarian approach to this question, as the Nintendo company itself has referred to King Dedede and Kirby as arch frenemies officially in their own documentation. In the early Kirby games, King Dedede has been an antagonist, but he was hardly ever the main antagonist. He was often portrayed as having a heart of gold and knowing when it's time to do the right thing, like in the case of the Subspace Emissary. Since Kirby Superstar Ultra, King Dedede and Kirby have been portrayed more as friendly rivals and are able to set aside their differences when it is time to help the greater good, which in the Kirby universe, if you are familiar with the Kirby games, is usually literally saving the world from immensely powerful cosmic forces. In these instances of being able to team up with someone you once harbored difficult feelings with, a difficult relationship, in order to defeat an enemy that would have otherwise been world-ending, this should be seen as a massive success.
Great. Do you yield the rest of your time?
I yield the rest of my time.
Okay, great. All right. David, who is more successful against their enemy?
Well, I'll get to some of my rebuttal points against some of what Summer said here in a moment, but in the effect of keeping things civilized and with decorum, I'll continue with my main point. I think that there's no question, if we're comparing kings, as to which is more successful against their enemy. King K. Rool has proven time and time again that he's not only a master of brute strength. The Donkey Kong Country games, especially 2 and 3, are well known for their incredible difficulty, something you cannot say about the Kirby franchise. But he's proven that he also has cunning as a leader and as an enemy and a boss. That's a scene with his easily stealing of the Banana Horde and kidnapping Donkey Kong on multiple occasions. Did he go in with his guns blazing? No, he snuck in. He used his brain. He's a tactical genius, only thwarted by the incompetence of his minions. King K. Rool is also the king of the fake out. He can act like he's been beaten, luring his opponent into a false sense of security, only to come back stronger than before. This is witnessed no earlier than his first appearance as a boss in the original Donkey Kong Country for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. Also, if I can add to this, there is an episode of the Donkey Kong Country TV show where it shows what would happen if Donkey Kong never existed. It's called A Wonderful Life, and it's quite literally just doing a take on It's a Wonderful Life if Donkey Kong never existed. And you know what happens in this? It is shown that King K. Rool is a fierce opponent, but of an evil regime run by Diddy Kong. In this episode, King K. Rool is shown to be a freedom fighter fighting for what is just and right. Diddy is the dictator. And showing that the real enemy has been Donkey Kong all along, and that not only is King K. Rool just in his attempts to thwart Donkey Kong's plans, but he is successful in doing so based on the difficulty of the games.
Okay, great. Thank you for your argument. Summer, you are first up for the rebuttal. What is your rebuttal?
Thank you, Jordan. David, you mentioned that oftentimes King K. Rool's failures are just at the incompetence of his minions. So I question why he continues to keep these minions around instead of having minions that he can trust, like King Dedede does, and often works together with, often puts himself in the way of in order to protect them, because that's what kings do. And I would also like to just pose the question of, does Donkey Kong not win still against King K. Rool? Yes, Kirby, quote unquote, wins against King Dedede, but King Dedede also acknowledges this and is willing to put their differences aside, is still willing to win, so to speak, against Kirby by teaming up with Kirby so that they can join forces in order to defeat bigger opponents in their success.
That's
good. Is that it? Can I
That's
respond?
time. Yes. David, it's your turn for a response.
You talk about Dedede seeing failure and switching sides. I see that as giving up. If we gave up, if we teamed up with our enemies, what if we did that during the Cold War? Summer? What if we just teamed up with the Russians? We just nuked ourselves. Do you think that would have worked out for the good United States of America? Maybe it's time to think about some of this before you shape some of your arguments. I'm trying not to be personal about this. Okay. But I think a rival just sounds, being a rival, being a friendly rival sounds like another way to say that he's not that successful at being an enemy, which is what this round is all about. And when it comes to the incompetence of minions, can you really put anyone's minions at any more incompetence than Kirby minions? I've defeated countless of Kirby's minions playing those games. You can defeat those enemies by breathing in. Can you say the same about K. Rool?
Okay. All right. Again, I would like to refrain from the ad hominem attacks.
I apologize.
It's okay.
No, you don't.
We're gonna
look, I'm just here for a good, clean match. Okay.
Me too. And I just want to facilitate this good, clean match. We all respect each other.
Yes.
Except for King K. Rool and King Dedede. But okay, so moving on, we are going to our third question. Who has the best weapons or gadgets? And David, you will start with your argument first.
Oh, Jordan, I'm so confident in this question here because, man, Rool is just the gadget master. He's the king of gadgets. He is so much more than just his crown and chestplate. But let's start there. I think his iconic, not only is it part of his visage, but it is also useful in so many ways, both in Super Smash Brothers and in the games. Throwing his crown while also adorning it upon his head as a status symbol. And his giant chest plate as well acts as a huge shield. So important to have. In his classic setup, he has his blunderbuss, which is something of a throwback item, but is classy while also packing a punch. But other than that, King Rool is undeniably a man of science, going so far as appearing as Dr. Baron K. Rulenstein in Donkey Kong Country 3, equipped with helicopter packs and Tesla coils to allow him to fly and shock his enemies. He's created an entire robot in that game called Chaos, K-A-O-S, that utilized the energy of Donkey Kong's body as a power source, essentially creating an alternative to fossil fuels, okay, for the record. He has many vehicles, all of which he's created. The Flying Croc, the King Cruiser are both airships. The Nautilus is a hidden submarine. He's got the Blast-O-Matic from Donkey Kong 64, which is a doomsday device, yes, but that he only uses in situations of mutually assured destruction, to call back the previously mentioned Cold War. And not only that, he has the mind of a chemist. He has a penchant for chemistry with mind and body altering gaseous chemical oxides that he can use in terms of chemical warfare against his enemies. Now, are all of these super effective? I would say so. I would say the levels where you have to move in the wrong direction because of the chemicals are some of the hardest ones in Donkey Kong. The man is a jack of all trades when it comes to technology and gadgets.
Yes, we all love a good chemical warfare. Summer, what is your argument?
Thank you, Jordan. In Super Smash Brothers Brawl, according to the Colonel, when Snake gets info on King Dedede, King Dedede's hammer is, quote, outfitted with special mechanical systems like turbojets and precision bearings to boost its effectiveness. King Dedede is able to propel his hammer swings with fire. He can create shockwaves by slamming it into the ground. The hammer can behave like a boomerang if needed. He's able to throw it out, deal great damage, and it comes back to him. The hammer has also shot out missiles, grenades. It has flamethrower capabilities. All of this is amplified as well when King Dedede takes on his recurring alter ego of Masked Dedede. He puts on his power amplifying mask. That being said, he mostly only puts on this mask and amplifies his power for moments of show. It is not something that he needs in order to be powerful. It is something that he does basically for entertainment. His hammer is basically a one and done cool gadget. He doesn't need all of these additional things like, you talk King Rool and he's a chemist. King Dedede doesn't need that. He's got the one hammer that takes care of the job. It is very cool. It does a lot. It is cool and fun, and Snake can't pick it up.
Sounds very heavy.
Like Mjolnir.
All right. David, you're up first for the rebuttal, please.
Look, I'm not going to disagree that I think having an all-in-one device is practical, but when it comes down to effectiveness in battle, do you want to have an all-in-one device misfire on you in a moment of battle? No. You want bespoke weaponry, gadgetry that can act as you need with no frills. Am I going to trust my life in the hands of a blender that's also a parachute? No. I'm going to jump out of the plane with a blender and a parachute so I can enjoy my mimosa as I descend down to the earth. Okay? Lastly, I'll say, you talked about he can use his hammer as a boomerang and it comes back to him. That's starting to sound an awful lot like Rool's crown. So who really did it first? That's something I think we're going to leave up to Politico to fact check.
Okay. Summer, your rebuttal?
David, you argue that you want a clean fight, and I would argue that that's also what King Dedede wants. He is not resorting to chemical warfare. He is a showman. He understands.
I didn't know this was an ethics debate.
Hey.
It's my time, David.
Summer's time.
And I would still, to that, say, okay, a clean fight. Is that what you're here for? That's what King Dedede is here for, and that's also what I'm here for. He's got his hammer. He knows how to use it. He is not going outside of that realm. Sometimes there's the occasional air blimp, but for the most part, that's for transportation. The hammer, as far as fighting goes, it's clean. It's a good, clean fight. It's entertaining. We know what we're getting.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Moving on. This is what we're starting to really get into the meat and potatoes of this argument. So this is going to be really important. You know, every villain needs to walk out to a badass tune. So the next question is, who has the better theme song? And to start this argument, Summer, you go first.
Thank you, Jordan. I'm very passionate about King Dedede's theme songs, as you should be for any good character. As of 2022, King Dedede has 55 individual, officially released by Nintendo iterations of his theme song. Even beyond this debate, it is an iconic example of a character having a perfect theme song created from the beginning, the inception of that character, that constantly gets reused and remanipulated to suit various different situations while still being recognizable to the character. And this is just official releases of his theme. If you put every fan-made cover of King Dedede's theme that's been properly licensed on Spotify into a playlist, you get over 11 hours of music. King K. Rool doesn't even scrape 3 hours by this specific metric. In 2022, during the Kirby 30th Anniversary Music Festival, the Kirby game composers themselves came out specifically to perform a medley of King Dedede's theme songs, which leads us to understand that this is the favorite Kirby song among even its composers. Thank you. I yield the rest of my time.
Wow. We love officially licensed Spotify playlists. David, your argument, please.
Oh, absolutely. You know, and wow, and you are right, Summer. That is so many themes. I didn't know the question was who has the most theme songs. Okay, what I thought the question was who has the better theme song. And when we're talking video game music, can you get more iconic than friend of the show, David Wise, the composer of the Donkey Kong Country soundtrack? Undoubtedly, K. Rool's theme is from one of the most celebrated video game soundtracks of all time. A soundtrack I happily own in my vinyl collection. King K. Rool's theme grows over the course of the boss fight. It's thematic in all the right ways. It changes, and even during the fake out credits, it's there. The theme from the first game was so wildly catchy and is so ingrained in almost every video game player's mind that it inspired the entire style and theming of the second Donkey Kong Country game, making it pirate-themed, Gangplank Galleon. That's what the people want. The second game has a new theme as well for K. Rool, adding on to the theme that was already from the first game. It echoes throughout every other motif in the game, showing the sheer power of his persona as you progress through the game. And lastly, I'd like to take this moment to not only talk about King K. Rool's theme, Gangplank Galleon, but also him as a musician and singer in his own right. If you watch the Donkey Kong Country television show, King K. Rool is an incredible vocalist with an incredible range and sings a number of songs throughout the entire thing. And if you want to talk about playlists, go online right now on YouTube. Find a compilation of all the songs from the Donkey Kong Country TV show, sung by King Rool, King K. Rool, a songwriter in his own right and an incredible vocalist. I don't think that we can discount that when talking about music in this discussion.
He has music out there. Whether it is good or not is up for debate. All right, Summer, your rebuttal, please.
David, you mentioned David Wise, quote unquote, friend of the show. David Wise retired from Rare in 2009 because there were just too many changes happening at the company. Whereas all of the composers for King Dedede's theme are still with HAL Lab. So everything that you described of the motifs within King K. Rool's themes throughout all of the different games, yes, we're talking about quantity. Quantity shows quality if it's happened 55 times. If something is that good and happens that many times, are you really going to argue that this is a quantity over quality situation? Absolutely not. And as far as singing prowess, if we're going to talk about that as well, yes, there was a very successful TV show of Kirby Right Back At Ya that showcased a fantastic portrayal of King Dedede where he does sing several times. You can also look that up on YouTube right now.
Yeah, we'll have links to both of those in the description of this video.
All right, David, your rebuttal.
First of all, why you got to throw Wise under the bus like that? Okay? David Wise is one of the greatest composers of all time. If you had perfected something, would you go back and continue to try to improve it? No, you can't improve what is already perfect. If anything, I think making new iterations and new versions of songs only proves that the songs weren't perfect to begin with, as I would say, with Dedede's theme, which is a banger. I will agree to that. I'm a video game music fan of all kinds, okay? But for the purpose of this argument, you cannot improve what is already perfect. I yield the rest of my time.
I'm glad, if nothing else from this debate, we can all agree on at least one thing. We're starting to get to the end of our debate. We have gone through 4 questions. This is our 5th and final question, and arguably our most important question. And the last question is, how buff are they? David, your argument first.
Extremely. Extremely. King K. Rool is extremely buff. Anyone can see this. He maintains a high protein and fruit-filled diet every day, eats a reported 40,000 calories of food. That's real. That's something I've looked up online, or at least it's theorized by fans. And you might say, oh, this man sounds morbidly obese. And yeah, he's got the pounds. But he maintains an outer layer of fat as a protective shield, which rests atop his enormous abs and pectorals. Okay? Those might be hidden by his fat layers, but I tell you what, the arms speak for themselves. Look at this man's biceps. He could crush you in a single moment. King K. Rool is constantly seen with his eyes bulging and bloodshot from the enormous strain that his huge muscles take on his body every single day. He also is an avid athlete. King Crusher K. Rool is his boxing persona from Donkey Kong 64. It shows that not only is he adept in the normal ways of combat, he's also quite athletic and has stamina that takes 5 different Kongs in order to match him in the boxing ring. And I'll let you know that apes are particularly known for their strength. He is an agile climber, as seen in Donkey Kong Jungle Swing and DK Jungle Climber for handheld systems. And do I even need to bring up how powerful he is in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch family of systems? That sees him at his most physically fit. But he's also athletic in the realm of baseball with Mario Super Sluggers, of which he is a character you can play as. And in that game, he's shown to be ambidextrous because he pitches with his left arm and swings with his right. So not only is he incredibly buff, he's toned, he's trained, he could take you down, and he can show off because he's one of the sexiest men on the planet Earth.
Okay, thank you. He does have notes of Mark McGuire or Sammy Sosa. You're correct. Summer, your argument, please.
Thank you, Jordan. Again, I'd like to reference Super Smash Bros. Brawl. When Snake performs his Codex taunt and discusses with the Colonel, we learn that one swing of King Dedede's hammer can level an entire building. Snake comments again, he doesn't even think that he could lift it, and he notes that King Dedede is swinging this hammer like it is nothing. According to King Dedede's trophy in Super Smash Bros. Melee, he underwent a series of rigorous training programs to learn and master to use his inhaled air in order to fly like Kirby. This was a learned skill, just the buffness of his lungs in order to fly. That is insane. He can also spin fast enough to generate wind power that cools blocks of magma, on top of being able to move fast enough in a short amount of time to not be noticed by the human eye, which is notably during the shootout minigames in the Kirby series. King Dedede's regular feats have been shown against Kirby, where, when acknowledging what Kirby is, and that is in fact a cosmic entity that can hardly be measured in terms of strength and ability, on occasion, King Dedede has knocked him out before with his hammer, a cosmic entity, to a state of unconsciousness. Yes, King K. Rool might be one of the sexiest men on Earth, but King Dedede transcends that. In the cosmos, one of the sexiest men of space.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Summer. David, your rebuttal, please.
I'm sorry. Are we asking whether or not K. Rool has the ability to kill a god? Or are we asking how fucking buff they are? Okay. Because which one of these two would you rather see in a Speedo at a bodybuilding competition? And as I'm saying that, I would really like to see both. I give you that. I thought it as the moment after I said what I said. I'd really like to see both. Mm-hmm. It'd be really a shame if somebody made an AI image of that. Also, I do want to ask, I think we need to check if codec calls and Palutena's guidance from from Smash, if these are vetted sources, I don't have time to personally fact check every claim from one of these side characters in various Super Smash Bros. Games at different points of development. Okay. But again, if we could have someone at Politico fact check that for us, I think that would be very helpful.
We will do that after this debate. Summer, your rebuttal, please.
Yeah, absolutely. So King Dedede historically has been in the wrestling ring throughout the franchise, which, for those of you that aren't familiar with wrestling, is a space where it is expected that you maintain a certain level of physical physique. If we're talking about wanting to see certain characters in a specific space with certain attire, King Dedede, just by existing as a wrestler, already meets these criteria without having to fantasize about it. So yes, he is incredibly buff. He gets incredibly buff arms as Macho Dedede in Kirby Star Allies. He is so buff. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. Well,
we should have closing statements. Yes. So I prepared a closing statement.
Summer, have you prepared a closing statement?
I can be prepared.
Okay. Well, David, since you have yours ready, locked and loaded, please give your closing debate.
First of all, if I could just start my closing argument with another thank you to both the listeners and to you, Jordan, for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, if you want to talk about the bottom line of who's a better king, King Dedede or King K. Rool, look no further than King K. Rool's Smash reveal trailer. The proof is in the pudding. Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, chilling out in their home, their jungle home, made of wood, treehouse. That's what they're called. And out of nowhere comes a menacing figure. Fear strikes into their eyes. They suddenly know what they're up against. A fierce opponent, a just ruler, a fantastic king, K. Rool. No, it's Dedede in a King K. Rool outfit, trying to trick them, trying to just emulate slightly the more fearsome and scarier character. As soon as Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong see this, they're not fazed. We could take Dedede. Bam! Out of nowhere, King K. Rool shows up, smashes Dedede in the head, takes his rightful place, and the Kongs go, and pardon the pun, apeshit. Scared out of their pants because of the fierce competitor that is King K. Rool. If you want to look for people who are able to be the boss that you need them to be in a video game, look no further than that. Sakurai agrees. King K. Rool is the better king.
All right, Summer, your closing argument.
Thank you, Jordan. To continue harping about Super Smash Brothers, if we want to talk about historics within Nintendo as a whole, King Dedede was meant to be there from the very beginning as an original character and was only not included due to time constraints, and arguably his buffness just could not be withheld within the game. So
can we fact check that?
Beauties and gentle beauties, aka my preferred non-gendered terminology. King Dedede has continuously won the hearts of not just fans at home, but the residents of Popstar and Dreamland, which includes Kirby, his former nemesis. In order to be a truly righteous leader, a true king, that means winning over hearts and minds, like King Dedede has repeatedly done time and time again. Thank you.
Beautiful. Again, I just want to thank both of y'all for keeping a mostly civil debate, very lively. We covered a lot of ground here today. I think we really are getting to the bottom and to the heart of this debate. And at this point, we're going to invite all of the listeners to please vote who you think is the winner. King K. Rool, King Dedede.
Oh, you put him away. No, King Dedede always stays at my desk.
We're for the audio listeners, we are showing off our King K. Rool and Dedede amiibos. So
both
we're
respectfully
legit.
Have.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you again to our debaters. Please go and vote who you think is the better king.
It'll be in the podcast channel of our Discord, correct?
It will be in the podcast channel of our Discord. It will also be, if you want to comment on YouTube or Instagram, please feel free. And we will tally the votes and let you know who is the winner according to the audience.
Yes, please follow us on our social media posts. We'll be back with another episode of Super Switch Headz next week. In the meantime, thank you, everybody. And thank you, Jordan.
Yes, thank you, Jordan.
Bye-bye.
Okay, listeners, viewers, now that it's just us, we can agree you're going to vote for King Dedede, right? I clearly gave the... that's knocking coming from the tiny door. Oh my God, what? Who? What? Oh my God, David!
Oh my God.
What? How did you... Where... How?
Hey, Summer.
What? Yeah, hey, David.
How's it going?
It was fine until...
You didn't know there was a portal to Austin, Texas inside the tiny door?
No, I clearly didn't know that.
Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to startle you. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I don't know. I just figured, you know, with all the political discourse going on in the world right now, I don't know if we need to be separated on all these partisan lines. Why can't we just come together, you know?
You know, I think with how things have been lately, I think I can agree. I think I can agree with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
After the attempt on K. Rool's life, you know, I think political unity is something that this nation really needs right now.
Exactly. Especially now that we know that Waddle Dee is on the ticket. Like, I think we can.
True.
I
He's
think
a great pick. He's a really good pick.
Right? We've got something to believe in.
Yeah. Well, here, I did bring my K. Rool amiibo with me.
You think maybe
We could make them
kiss?
Oh man, that felt good. All right, well, I'm gonna go back to Austin.
Okay.
All right.
Safe travels.
Yeah, have a good time.
Have a good life.
Oh God.
Oh.
Okay, here we go. Have fun.
Okay.
Ow.
Bye.
Oh, I got a cramp.
Yeah. Okay.